Alright, hey, hi, hello, welcome back, Alexandrian Codex. This is an EU4, is it? Yeah, honestly, I hit the point with that EU4 campaign where it became too repetitive. I keep looking at myself. Setups change, we'll get into that. It got too fucking repetitive. It got into that point of EU4 where it's just like, mass an army, go smash something, and the roleplay element, I hadn't done it enough, and the game doesn't really have enough mechanics to support it, to the point where I lost interest. I've thought about modding the game even more, using a mod pack, maybe, I want to say Solare's Nightmare, but that's not what it is. Solare, I've been playing Dark Souls, so that's why Solare, oh my god. U4 Nightmare. Voltaire! Voltaire's Nightmare. I've worked 52, 53 hour week at this point, and chances are fucking coworker's gonna call out sick again tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna work a 64 hour week. I'm good. I'm alive. Play with some mods like that expand the Italy portion of the campaign, maybe making it more interesting, but honestly I'd want to code in a lot more events that actually happen. I don't know. I went to sandbox mode. No, it's been a minute. Green screen's gone. By that gone, I mean folded up in a pile over there where you can't see it, on the other side of the room. I've been consistently and incrementally redesigning my apartment, and I wanted to go a little more feng shui with things. I know that there's no basis to feng shui, and it's the way it's practiced in the US anyway. God, I forget the controls here. Nope, I got them. Is culturally appropriative and yada yada. Trust me, I'm very aware, but the aesthetic sensibility appeals to me. And I've been reading, like, so much ancient Chinese philosophy that I wouldn't say I'm buying into it, but yeah, I think there's a lot of validity and wisdom and substance to it. You know, like, if I can practice dumbass Western traditions, why not practice equally irrational Eastern ones? Well, Alex, you're not from that culture, and if you're profiting off of it, but I'm not. I'm not profiting off of it. No one's getting exploited. I'm not buying things to engage in this cultural practice. I am just modifying my lifestyle to engage in this. I am not marketing it. I am not appropriating it. I am trying my best to, in good spirit, participate in it. Now, certainly there's probably flaws in my approach to this, but I'm making excuses, aren't I? Yeah, probably. So I wanted to change around my recording situation a little bit, so I'm facing the door rather than facing away from the door, because your work desk and, as opposed to, I don't know, your fun desk, your desk and your bed and shit, there's like one other important thing, and there's like 5 or 6 different major schools of well, there's 2 or 3 major schools of thought when it comes to, Jesus, you can tell how scatterbrained I am. It's normally bad. Today it's just awful. I'm running off of sleep deprivation and caffeine at this point. Feng Shui. There are a few different schools of thought. One of them primarily emphasizes fundamentally the way that energy flows around the room. Man, the history of Feng Shui is fascinating too. Now it's been a couple weeks at this point since I looked into it, so some of this is going to be off. But a lot of old Feng Shui practices have changed what the orientation of stuff is supposedly lined up with over time. As political and really as political landscapes have changed in China in particular, because it used to have some reverence towards emperors and their burial places or sources of origin, which changed a little over time. It's super fascinating when you look at the development of anything over time, really. Stories are great. So I've been doing that. I've been focusing on my living room. I haven't gotten new plants, though I'm looking at trying to find bamboo that I want to experiment with in the shower, which sounds very strange, but the shower ivy's doing... I'll be real with you, only about a fourth of it is still alive. A fourth of it has been moved to my windows because they were not making it. I was experimenting in how often I'd water them, and the light's on and they're right good. How often I'd water them, and how close they were to the shower head, so they get watered when I showered or not, and at what height they were, and what angle with relation to external light sources, which there really aren't any, and the light sources in the bathroom. And I have 3 plants that are doing okay. I have 2 that are sprouting new growth, which is so nice when I've had so many of them die. I thought this would be like a 1 or 2 week project where I'd figure out pretty quickly what their preference level is. Nah. English ivy, I fucking hate it. It's so temperamental. Some strains of it are pretty resilient. Some types of English ivy are just big old babies. And I want them to work out because they help clear mold spores from the air, and that'd be perfect for the bathroom. That pneumonia, I think. Though, peace lilies also get ammonia, and way more by volume. I don't really like peace lilies, but I might do it for the air filtration, to practice all the same. This is gonna be even less structured than normal, obviously, because I'm fucking tired. But I wanted to record something because, hey, it's been a minute, right? It's been a couple of weeks. I've been doing well. I've been doing fairly well. I'm been working a ton. I am sleepy. I've been looking for new work, passively, not super aggressively. Increasingly aggressively is the realization it dawned on me that with our current staff, I'm never going to get the PTO that I want. I have PTO saved up, but no one can actually fill in for me. So I might as well not have PTO. Because folks aren't trained on the stuff I'm trained on, and nobody wants to be trained on the stuff that I'm trained on, and nobody wants to work overnight, and I can hardly blame them. And we're having a hard enough time just getting new people to stick around, and the new people who do stick around, fucking incompetent. Just had one of the new incompetent people quit after like 40 something hours of training. You're like, I don't get it. Everybody does everything differently. There's no standardization here. Like, yeah, man, there's no shit. That's just life. This isn't an office job. This is a front desk position where you're taking care of the amenities for an entire condominium complex of several hundreds of units. There's gonna be weird exceptions to things, and weird times that you do things one way or not do things. This job, just like I think any real job, success ultimately boils down to flexibility and your capacity to learn. Now, there are careers out there, obviously, that your success in them depends on your expertise. This isn't about expertise. This is about being a smart person and being quick thinking. Though the fact that I just said quick thinking instead of something more articulate, there's a joke in there. There's a joke in there. What are you doing that job then? Wow. Butcher that. Why are you doing that job then, Alex? There we go. Yeah. had a break-in at my work this week while I was on lunch break. Good shit. Good shit. Coming back to find the place broken into. I don't ever want to report things to the police because I really don't believe in the judicial system of the United States. It's racist and classist and mostly serves a certain echelon of society and doesn't serve others, and engaging with it always makes me feel very gross and uncomfortable. I had weird feelings about that. I mean, it was necessary because these were people's... Well, it wasn't anyone's home that got broken into, but it was the building the people live in that got broken into, which is adjacent to their home, so I can empathize. I've had homes broken into before. I've had a fucking shitty duplex apartment that got broken into... Christ, like 4 or 5 times in the course of 2 months. Oh, it's fucking awful. I may have developed some PTSD from that. May, but it's undiagnosed, so if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. It is what it is. I know, that's the worst fucking sentimentality to have when I so advocate other people address their mental health. How dismissive I am is indicative of my need to take my own fucking advice, but therapy is like $100 to $150 per session if you're fortunate. Yeah, like that's expensive. No kidding. Like, you can get cheaper rates if you go with someone who's still training or trying to get their certification or new to a practice, and I can actually get cheaper therapy, just not from people who I like or respect from reading their profiles and reviews. Like, I sure as hell cannot go to a, like, faith-based therapist or somebody who really thinks that their relationship with Jesus should play a prominent role in the healing process or something like that. I need very liberal, or at least, no, I need liberal, queer, not young, not necessarily young, but yeah, give me some queer Marxists. That's the kind of folks I'd work best with. And they exist, but you know, when you're being as picky as I am about it, you gotta pay for that pickiness. I'm feeling fairly positively about it. About the prospect and possibility. Where do I want to put this? I don't fucking know. I mean, I don't really play this for the score, and if I was, we would have hopped over to another island by now, but... Well, actually, no. If I'm playing for the score, I stay on this island for as long as possible. Just farm it. There's one thing I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I've been trying to work up a good segue. And honestly, this is the thing I started recording today, wanting to talk about. Not any of the my life drama with break-ins and working way too much and sleep deprivation and not having anybody who can take my goddamn shifts, so I have to take everyone else's because I work with a bunch of very picky people when it comes to their schedules. I get it, I'm picky too, but I'm also not selfish. And I'm a team player, I guess. No, I'm too empathetic, and I feel bad if I let people be hurt or disadvantaged because of actions or inactions that I choose to make. Which makes me easier to manipulate in some ways depending on my mood. But we'll talk about that later. The thing I wanted to talk about, see, I remembered. My short-term memory isn't completely gone, though it's close. Right-of-way. Let's talk about the right-of-way. This is a thing that drives me absolutely fucking insane. Oh wow, webcam, you're all over the place. I need to tighten you, friend. Yeah, that's fine. I just need to replace you. Small, and you're bouncy, and you never stay focused. Like a small ADD-riddled camera. This is worse than it was before. Let's just move this out so I can talk while I'm fidgeting with this. So, I wanted to talk about the right-of-way, and this sort of thing has driven me absolutely crazy, particularly when I'm in crowds. How do you move around a crowd? Or, how do you move when you're on a sidewalk? That's so much better. Who do you get out of the way for, and who do you expect to get out of your way? Now, typically, I think the expectation and the practice is that if someone is larger than you, you probably get out of their way. Just as an unconscious type thing. Women tend to get out of men's way. They're more cultured to make room for men. This is a well-documented phenomenon. Well, manspreading, etc., etc. Men having... I mean, there are studies where in meetings, men interpret women as speaking the majority of the time, even if they speak for a vast minority of the time. Men are used to the privilege and accommodation of space. Physical, social, literal and figurative. My philosophy is whoever enjoys less privilege. Ooh, my phone is here. This has probably been making terrible sounds. We go live on the floor for now. Whoever enjoys less privilege should get out of the other person's way. Or whoever has more power in the dynamic should get out of the other one's way. Like, if someone with mobility issues and someone who is able-bodied, I don't know, that still sounds, I don't know if that's the right term to use, because that still sounds a bit, value judgment-y, but, you know, someone who has mobility issues and someone who does not, who should get out of the way? Obviously the person who doesn't have mobility issues, right? If someone is coming at you, and they're in a wheelchair, or they have crutches, you are an asshole if you do not get out of their way. Okay, well, what if they have... what if they look less wealthy than you? You can tell that they're probably homeless. Or maybe, have some sort of mental disorder. You get out of their way. Not like in a, oh no, I'm so afraid kind of way, but in a, this is a small thing that you can do to exercise your power to at least not disadvantage them or inconvenience them. It might not make much of a difference, but It's always nice when someone steps out of your way or lets you do something first, right? You're not changing the fucking world when you're doing it, but it's small. I think, like, athletic people should make room for less athletic people. When I when I was going to college, about to go to college, this is in 2009, 2010, I wrote a paper on what I called bro squads. Is that why I named them? Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. I grew up near Purdue University in Lafayette and West Lafayette, Indiana. A bro squad in that context is what you might imagine in a university town that has engineering majors. It's groups of half a dozen to dozens of dude bros walking together, taking up public space. Taking up the entire sidewalk, not getting out of people's way, making other people, not directly, but indirectly making other people get out of their way. And I'm not like, oh, boo-hoo, I'm a little nerd and I was bullied. No, I'd bully them. I'd walk through the middle of the groups of like 12 older, stronger, taller people than me, just to make a point that I wasn't getting out of their way, and their expectation that I would was shitty. When there are so many of them, it should really fall on them to make room for other people. Really, just this is what white people need to do. Generally, white men in particular, just make room. Get off the platform and give platforms to other people. If someone has a stroller, right, you get out of their way. If someone has a dog, you get out of their way, but the dog thing actually really pisses me off here in Seattle because so many people have dogs, and dog people have the expectation that you'll get out of their way because they have a dog. When, as a dog owner, you made a choice. And as a parent, you also made a choice to have that child, so I don't know, man. You can afford to have a dog, which means you probably are in a more financially secure position. That, or you're not, and you're in a less financially secure position than I am, but need the security or companionship. But all the same, I care a lot about space. I care a lot about how much space I'm taking up and other people are taking up, and how mindlessly we can do that. And unaware we can be of our own literal and metaphorical footprints. God, maybe I've talked about this before. I've ranted about this so many times. I'm awful at street fairs and big events in Seattle. I just get pissed off when people, you stick to the right side of the pathway that you're on, unless you're in England or one of the Commonwealth countries, in which case I guess you stick to the left side. But in the US, you stick to the right side of the sidewalk or the road or the path or the boulevard or the open alleyway, or you just stay to the right. And the amount of people who try to cut through crowds just walking wherever, and if you ever are at a street fair or a farmer's market or a carnival and you are standing in the middle of the places where people are coming to and fro, you're just standing there talking with someone in the middle of the goddamn road, get off to the side. I don't care how long it's been since you've seen Sharon, or how her kids are doing, or that it's so weird to see you here and oh my god, I'm having such a great time. Get the fuck out of the way. Especially things like theme parks, just get the fuck out of the road. If you're gonna sit still and have a conversation, move. Because pathways are for moving, not just for hanging out. If you're gonna eat something, for the love of God, don't just stand next to a trash can and eat because you want to throw it away as quickly as possible and move on to the next thing. You're not actually helping, and you're just getting in the way of other people who are trying to use the trash can or something like that. And people are just so goddamn thoughtless and inconsiderate and completely oblivious to how they're impacting people around them. God, and I'm sure I'm guilty of this. I'm positive I must be guilty of this. But, yeah, this is a thing that has outraged me so much in the past. It drove my ex absolutely crazy because of how pissed off it would make me. But, yeah, I also can get pretty overwhelmed in crowds. Which, again, symptom of PTSD and something I should look into. It's gotten a lot better, but when I moved to Seattle, there were times where my brain would feel like it was on fire, and I couldn't really process stuff that was going on around me when I was in a big crowd. I just had fight or flight mode, mostly flight mode, going on in my brain ceaselessly. Like I just couldn't do being in public all the time, or sometimes. And oh yeah, Cora did not. She was supportive at first, but it got old, just as any mental or emotional condition might. After a while, it gets exhausting for you and for the people around you, especially if it's taking a long time to heal or improve or change. But it's gotten so much better. But god damn, I hated taking the bus when I first moved here. Hated it. Especially at night. I would just get bad anxiety. Just have rampant I need to get out of here feelings. When I'm in a crowd by myself, it would never get triggered. I feel fine in a crowd by myself. I don't know if it's just because I am kind of numb, or I don't really care what happens to me, or I have a false sense of security, or what, but when I'm in a crowd or a potentially dangerous situation by myself, I tend to not care very much. I tend to be fairly comfortable. I might be worried or have anxiety or like shake, tremble, as people do, because of the accelerated heartbeat, blood pressure, and adrenaline. Which I have tremors to start with. Undiagnosed tremors, gotta love that. Not as cool as the movies. And if those movies are not cool to you, you are wrong. And yeah, I mean, there's probably some strong political arguments for why I shouldn't like Tremors or something, but I really don't. I don't want to learn how this fave is problematic. I'm sure it's rampantly problematic, but just let me have this. Just let me have these shitty earthworm science fiction things. Yeah, so when I drink coffee, or I'm dehydrated, or I have adrenaline, or after anything that raises blood pressure or heart rate, my tremors get even more pronounced. Even if it's like a really hot day and I'm dehydrated. When I was last in Chicago, a dude selling his album. It could have actually been selling his album, could have not. On a street corner was like Are you afraid of me? I'm like, no, dude, I'm not afraid of you. I just shake a lot. And not in a... It's really subtle. You have to be around me and really pay attention to notice it. Or not. Maybe I think it's more subtle than it is, and I'm just surrounded by people who politely don't mention it. But given the people that I surround myself with, I don't know if they'd have the capacity to not politely mention it. Like, my manager only noticed for the first time this week, and he's known me for 6-7 months. Yeah, when I was out at night in Seattle, when I first moved here, I'd roam around Seattle at 2 in the morning when I first moved here, just wandering around and exploring. Did not give a shit. Did not care at all. Like, oh yeah, this seems fairly unsafe, or like a bad neighborhood. Well, you know, it is what it is, and I'm here, and I'm just gonna exist and not cause anyone any trouble. But when I'm with people, whether it be family, whether it be on a date, or friends, whether I be on friends, whether I be with friends, if I'm around other people, then this stupid, like, tribal mentality pops in, and it's like, hey, you are now responsible for everyone that you're with, and you have to keep track of all of them all the time while you're doing this. Okay? So you're just constantly going to be double and triple checking that you know where everyone is and that they're okay and that they haven't gotten lost or bothered by anyone or anything like that. And oh my god, it's just so fucking draining, and it makes me get so angry so quickly, so irritable. And I honestly can't tell if it's coming from a good place. Like, it sounds superficially kind of sweet, right? But I'm really not sure what motivates that mentality and that emotional outpouring. I don't know if it's genuine concern for the people I care about, and I hope that it is, but I don't know that. It could also be frustration at not being able to control something or someone. I don't know. Obviously, I'd like to give myself the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not really in a position where I can super well psychoanalyze myself. Obviously, no one is. Well, to some extent I can, but to a thorough extent I certainly cannot. Or if it comes from a place of not thinking highly of the people that I'm around and thinking that they need me to look out for them because they can't do it for themselves, I guess, or something like that. Or maybe it comes from like a misogynist place where if I'm around dudes, then I don't worry about them. If I'm around women, then I worry more. But like, that's not necessarily misogynist if that's the way it works, and I don't know if it works that way. Again, it's hard to study yourself this intently while you're also doing the thing, because women are subjected to a lot more violence and ugliness in public than men are, by and large. So being more hyper aware when I'm with one or around one, someone who is performing femininity, or is a woman, or just might appear to an outsider as a woman superficially based on their expectations of what a woman is or is not, then I get like protecty, but that's... Women don't need my protection. Men don't need my protection. No one needs my protection. I might need my protection, but I don't want to be a fucking white knight about it. And God, there's just so many tropes and so many cliches and so many flawed methods of behavior that are so easy to fall into. And ultimately it boils down to motivation, but because this is a non-conscious thing that I'm doing, I'm not sure why I'm doing it. It could be coming from a really good place, and it could be coming with a really good mentality. And yes, I've tried to tease it apart. Yeah, I've tried to think about it. Yeah, I've tried to write about it. And I'm still real wishy-washy about the whole shebang. Fuck, I hate temples. I don't know. I mean, even when I was a teenager, when I'd be walking with a group of male-presenting friends, I'd still shepherd people, if you will, and move the group, or lead the group, and I don't know why it was always so important to me. It's deeply satisfying feeling like I'm leading, or I'm making sure that everyone's okay, or pathfinding, or whatever else. I really get a lot of satisfaction out of helping other people feel safe, or helping make sure other people are safe. I don't ever really want a job in security. I find it fundamentally, in our socioeconomic environment, exploitative, classist, racist, and like, I have conflicting feelings about being in a position where I'm responsible for the security of people who are wealthier than I am, at the expense of people who are less wealthy than I am. Like, that is a facet of class warfare that I am required to participate in as a part of my job, and I'm philosophically, I really struggle with that. To the point that that's a key motivator in me wanting to have a different job. Because I don't want to feel like my labor is being used to hurt people who need help for the benefit of people who, intentionally or not, have the sort of capital that only comes from exploitation, direct or indirect. This is a cliche, but I like to think it's true, that you can't be a good person if you think you're a good person. Being a good person is a process and a lifestyle more than anything else. There's just so damn much to take into consideration, and The Good Place's entire latter story arc is all about this. Well, I guess no, its entire story arc is all about what makes a good person, what makes a bad person, how is that quantified and analyzed. And if you haven't seen The Good Place, I'd highly recommend it. It's fantastic. It's more comedic than as cerebral as I'm making it sound, though it is deeply cerebral. And yeah, that's just something I've struggled a lot with when it comes to any sort of practice or purchase or decision. Just trying to figure out all the little odds and ends and facets of how everything fits together and how I can most positively impact the world, or at least negatively impact the world with actions and choices and decisions. And you know, I'm trying to be better. I get so embarrassed when I learn of ways that I've been fucking up for years. but I care. So, you know, life isn't that bad. Not right now. I'm doing well. I feel like I should make more of an effort to get out, date folks, and do work that I'm proud of and actually care about, motivates me, makes me feel like, well, gives me fulfillment. Just for my own mental well-being, more than anything else. I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing right now, which makes me uncomfortable because it's ideologically giving me dissonance, giving me real dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. Well, it's not cognitive dissonance, but it's close enough. It's dissonance. I think this is the end for us, kids. Unless... Haha, unless... No. Well, I'm gonna hop over to a new island, I guess. I don't know. Has it been 40 fucking minutes? I think I'm just gonna quit here. I think I'm just gonna do one island, because I don't want to drag this out to be a 3-hour thing. I'm doing fine. Life's good. I think I'm gonna stop playing EU4. I had fun with it. There's just still not enough to it to make me stick around. The new Stellaris content looks fine, but doesn't have... it's gotten lip service to the improvements to... Lip service? Sure, yeah, to the improvements in the AI and game performance, but I'll believe it when I see it. But right now, I'm not buying it. And really, that's the core issue with the game right now. I've been playing a lot of Galactic Civilizations 3, trying to remember how the hell to play that game. I've been thinking about recording it. It's an older game, and I don't think the reception would be as enthusiastic. I might actually play through Dark Souls for the first time. God, no, I don't want to necessarily record that. I'm really in a zone out and just play games kind of headspace. I've been playing a ton of Warhammer Total War 2. Again, just seems like boring content, so I don't want to stream it. I'm saying that while streaming fucking Islanders. Been playing a shit ton of The Sims, but I am not streaming that. I am not recording that. It's just cathartic, and I don't know, not that interesting. I guess maybe it's that interesting. I haven't found something, and this is a struggle for a lot of folks around this time of year. There's nothing new that's come out that's really striking my fancy, so this is an opportunity to go back and play older titles or explore older content, but not really particularly moved by anything that's older. Kentucky Route Zero, maybe. I've heard really good things about that, though I was kind of turned off by it when it first came out, so maybe that, I don't fucking know. I'd love to switch over to being a day person, so I could have more day stuff to talk about. And today is Friday, and it's supposed to be my recording day, but I just worked a 54-hour week, so I think this is the only thing I'm putting up this week, sorry. Until, I don't know, tomorrow. I've been me, you've been you. Till then, toodaloo.